Natasha, thank you so much for being part of this summit. I am so excited to just be here with you today.
Thank you so much for having me, Dallas.
Natasha and I went to school together in college and we just reconnected and I'm so happy to be here with you. So I'm just going to read your little bio for everyone to just get to know you. And then I'm really excited to get into these meaty topics today and give people just a little taste of your wisdom and your brilliance. Okay, so Natasha Ho is a woman on a mission to help entrepreneurs rapidly grow their businesses to six figures and beyond without grinding longer, working harder, or doing all of the things. She helps high achieving women elevate what they sell and how they sell it so they can have more wealth, fun, and leisure. Natasha wanted to crack the code on how to grow with more speed, simplicity, and joy for herself. So she studied and experimented with every marketing and sales strategy she could find. What she discovered is the key to rapid sales growth. You have to take the uncomfortable leap before you think you're ready. Sell first. That's how she created sell out offers. She's used this method to sell out cooking lessons, retreats, consulting services, and to grow her business to six figures in the first year while only working 20 hours a week. So I'm just really excited to talk with Natasha about especially things related to mindset, kind of diving in even before you maybe feel ready and breaking up with busyness and just all of that. So welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, let's get into it. There's so many juicy things we can talk about, especially when it comes to writing a book, because all of that definitely applies.
Yes, it's so I just hear so many women say these are some of the reasons that they're not writing their book is that they're too busy or they feel like it's selfish to carve out this time to work on this creative project for themselves, or they just have all these fears and doubts related to mindset. So maybe we could start by talking about this idea about these mindset shifts. What do you feel like if we're looking for lasting change and success, whether it's in our business, whether it's writing our books, what do you see? What are some mindset shifts that you feel like, especially women, need to make to then be able to do all the things that we dream and want to do?
Yeah. So I think the first thing is that I do myself and that I do when I work with people is that we have to be really connected to why we want the thing that we want. It's the first thing that you have to establish is what you want. So now I know what I want. I want to write the book. I want to have a business. I want to, whatever that big goal is. And then you have to be really, really connected to why you want it. Typically what I see people do is they'll figure out what they want and then they jump straight to how. And they're trying to figure out, how do I get there? How do I do it? And then they're in a Google rabbit hole of trying to figure out how to do it. And what they often forget is to be really connected to the why. And why do you want it? And the why is the deeper the why, the easier the how. And when you really get connected to why, that also will help you power through the moments when the how is not easy and when you have to do things that are uncomfortable. And so you really, really have to be connected to that. Why do you want the thing that you want? What's that going to do for you? How is that going to transform your experience of life? How is that going to help you to have a bigger impact? How is that going to help you to ultimately get where you want to be in life? And so I think that's one of the key things that people often skip over, and that they also, when it comes to for as women, is thinking oh, okay, well, not feeling like it's okay for that why to be something that feels very self-centered or selfish.
Mm-hmm.
And so the other thing is really a mindset shift around giving yourself permission for the why to be something I want to be famous.
Yes.
That's okay to say the why behind why I want to do this is I want acclaim, I want achievement, I want fame, I want to be recognized for my ideas, I want to be celebrated for what I've done. And that's okay for that to be the why, and that can still be a good enough reason for you to have the thing that it is that you want.
Yes, even just listening to you say that, Natasha, it made me kind of uncomfortable. I feel like as a woman, the idea of saying that, right? I just feel how powerful that would be if we actually practice saying that to ourselves, every day of this is why I want this and that's okay. I love that. And I wanted to highlight too what you said about the deeper the why, the easier the how. I think that is so wise. I'm going to write that down and have that as my affirmation, because I just think that's so, so true. And we sometimes get into this I think this lie of thinking that if I was meant to do this, it would be easy the whole time, or like this how wouldn't be so hard. And I love what you're saying of like, it's not that you're not going to have roadblocks, and it's not that you're not going to have some parts of the how that are uncomfortable, but when you have that foundation of that deep why, it's easier. Like you stay the course and you stay committed.
Exactly. Yeah. And you will actually get closer, and you'll recognize when opportunities show up to you. I think that's one of the big things, is that people will often like lose that connection to what it is they want and why they want it. And then opportunities come up. And what opportunities often look like are things that are setbacks. They often look like things that are obstacles in your way, when in fact they are an opportunity for you to have the thing that you want. And to be able to recognize that, you have to be very, very connected to what you want and why you want it.
I love that so much. And I think those are some great questions for people to even pause and do some journaling on right now. These questions about like, why does this matter to you? How is this part of your legacy? Like, how will this create the impact that you want to create? Like, what impact do you want to create? I think that doing some journaling on those questions, you post so many great ones. And it's something that I do with my clients with writing a book at the very beginning, is exactly this, like getting to your why of why you want to write this book. Because it's so true. Like if you don't really have that, I think some people say, well, I just want to write a book because I want to write a book. But it's like, if you don't have that deeper why of why this matters to you, that's why so many people quit partway through. So I would love to also talk about this idea of the "you're ready" paradox, which I am so excited to learn more about this, because I've just heard the phrase from you, but I don't really know what it means. But I was immediately intrigued when I heard this. So can you kind of explain to listeners, what does the "you're ready" paradox mean, and kind of how does this fit into this whole conversation we're having about like mindset and sort of giving yourself the permission to go after whatever it is that you want?
Yeah. So one of the things that I hear very frequently from people, and you probably hear this too, is feeling like I'm not ready to start yet, or I'm really busy right now. I'm waiting for things to slow down. I'm waiting for the right time, and I'm going to get started then. And there's this belief that a time will arrive when we are ready. And when I ask people, well, so when in the past have things slowed down?
Yes.
And they'll always
Great
say,
question.
It hasn't ever really slowed down. And that's because whenever we have resource, whether it's time or money, whatever resource, as humans are designed to live life to the fullest. So we will use up all of that resource. We will use up all the time. We will use up all the money. So we have to really be intentional about using that resource in the way that we want to, that will get us closer to the thing that we desire. So if the resource is time, it's like we have to be intentional about putting the time towards the thing that we want, versus having a belief that there's going to be an abundance of time at some point in the future where we'll then be able to allocate that towards the thing that we want. And so what I work with people first is really setting that intention and saying like, okay, we're going to do this thing. This is what we're focused on. I just had a call with my one of my clients this morning where she's like, okay, I'm waiting to be ready so that I can so I can hire more people. We're like, well, actually, you need to hire more people for your team so that you can step away and focus on these other parts of the business so you can make more money. If you wait until you're making more money to hire the people, you're never going to have the time to go make the more money that you need to make for your business. And that's that's the paradox that happens, is that we think that we need to get the thing in order for us to move to the next step, when in fact we need to start doing the thing, and then the resources that we need will show up. And so if that's starting a book, you need to actually create the space and the intention and start working on that in order for the resources, the who and the how, to show up for you to have what you need, whether that's more space in your schedule or it's a support from somebody like a mentor. That's going to show up as you start doing the work, because the courage doesn't show up beforehand. Courage shows up in the act of you actually doing the thing. And if we're waiting to feel ready for the for bravery and courage to then show up and suddenly I feel ready. I'm going to move forward. That's not how life works. You actually have to step forward. And then in the doing of the thing is where you build the confidence. And that's when you can actually feel really great about it. So the courage comes and then the confidence comes. And you're not going to have either of those things when you start out at the beginning. So you have to actually take action in order for either of those things to show up and for you to ultimately get the result that you want.
Yes, that is so wise. And I love how you're just really normalizing this whole process for all of us, because I think it's so easy to look around at everyone else and to think that they have it all together or that they are ready. They know exactly what they're doing. Like they have the courage and that's why they're taking action, and just really normalizing that you can still be a little afraid and not feel ready and do the thing. And like you're saying, that from doing the thing is where you get the confidence and where you actually start to get that traction and see that coming. And I find with writing a book, it happens throughout all the stages. Like at first you don't feel ready to actually sit down and write it. And then it's a whole new level of readiness to send it off to early readers. And then a whole new level of readiness to then, actually get it published and do a book launch and all of those things. And so it's almost like, I feel like it's this muscle that you kind of build, especially as you're describing it, this like courage muscle of taking that action. And then I feel like I'm sure what you see with your clients, that it permeates like all areas of their life, not even just their business.
No, totally. And one of the things I always laugh about is people will tell me now, you're so great on video. Like you do a really great job when you
You
do
are.
Thank you. This wasn't for me to
You are though.
But I have people who want to market themselves and they're like, I'm terrible on video. Like, look at you're so great. And I always tell them, when I first started doing like live videos and things like that, I would turn on Facebook Live. I would change the settings to only me. And I would record these videos and then I would watch it and I would record multiple times until it got to the point where I was like, this is good enough. And then I changed the settings so other people could watch it, but I never went live just doing it. But I knew I had to start somewhere. So I started with the step of, okay, only me. And then I'll make sure before I turn. And eventually I got to the point where I would just hit live and I would be able to speak. And then I got comfortable and better in the process of me being able to present my ideas live. But I had to start somewhere. And so even if the way that you start isn't how you finish, obviously it never is, being able to decide what's a step that I can take that's uncomfortable, but it's going to move me forward.
I love that so much. And taking those little baby steps, those consistent actions. And what came up for me too, is I think as women, often we feel we don't give ourselves permission to just go for something if we're not entirely sure, how it's going to pan out. Or for some women, they feel like, well, I'm not ready to write a book because I'm not an expert yet. Like I don't have a PhD or my business isn't to this level. And it sort of is like, I just think it's so important for us not to have those kind of arbitrary markers for ourselves, like you're saying, until we feel like we're ready, and to just realize that it's like we have everything that we need already inside of us just to get started, like you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And people connect to your vulnerability before they connect to your authority. So if you're willing to tell your story in a very vulnerable place, it doesn't matter how many degrees you have or how many courses that you've taken or how much you know, essentially, it's really about that vulnerability, that you're telling your story, that you're sharing in a very vulnerable way. That's what people connect to first. I've read many like just posts and things and I'm like, wow, like I read it and then I can reread it and be like, well, there's like grammar errors and all these other things. But the first time that I read it through, it's like I was connected. Like I didn't notice all that stuff. I didn't care about that stuff. And, maybe an editor could have gone back and restructured it and made it better. But it's like the first thing that I connected to was the story, the vulnerability, what was there for me, and seeing myself in that story and wanting to be connected to what was being told to me.
I love that. You are so great with these gems. Like, I love how you said people connect to your vulnerability before they connect to your authority. I think, and so often we put pressure on ourselves with the authority piece, where we all have that vulnerability, those stories, that wisdom inside of us from just our lived experience. And I think you're so right that that's what people remember and that's what they connect to. Oh my gosh, Natasha, I could just like talk to you forever, but I want to be, respectful of your time. And I want to make sure that people know how they can get more of you. Like, how can people connect with you? You have a super generous free gift for all summit attendees. So do you want to go into that of what it is and how our listeners can access that?
Yes. So I have a amazing template collection that I created for people who want. One of the things I noticed was that since COVID, we've all moved so much of our communication online. And one of the things that I found people were struggling with was, how do I turn all of the conversations that I have online into offline opportunities, whether that is trying to sell somebody on an idea or sell them on my product. And so I created a collection of templates to help people be able to move someone from a comment to a conversation into being your client. So really taking somebody along that entire journey and how to make the most of the relationships that you have and that you're creating online and turn those into revenue for your business, for your income. So that is what you can get a hold of. They are 8 battle-tested DM templates. I've used this myself. I use these with clients and turn these into real money. So this is how you can find in your inbox hundreds of thousands of dollars in your inbox is through using these templates to turn those conversations into income. So you can find that at mysixfigureyear.com/DM.
Amazing. I'll link to that in the notes. And that sounds, I was also thinking about people I'm sure could kind of tweak those templates when their book is ready for sale. Like, how do you get someone who's commented on your post to actually like buy your book or book you as a speaker about your book or something like that? So amazing. And just in general, what are the best ways for people to like find you, follow you? Where do you like to hang out online? Can you give people like your handles and how they can get more of you?
Yes. So you can find me online. My website is mysixfigureyear.com. And then I hang out on Facebook and on Instagram would be the 2 primary places you can find me. Both of those I'm at Hey Natasha Boo. Natasha, the Facebook and Instagram is Hey, Hey, Natasha, Natasha, Boo, BOO. It was a nickname that my boyfriend/husband gave me and it stuck. So I'm Hey Natasha Boo.
I love it. I love it. And I will link to those too. Well, thank you so much, Natasha. It's been such a delight to talk with you. And thank you just for all of those gems that I think, yes, relate so much to writing your book, but also to growing your business and just to living the best life in general. I love those mindset shifts. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Alice. Yeah, and the one thing I always remind people is that we're always selling. The skill of sales applies to every area of our life, whether we're talking about money, we're talking about ideas, we're talking about persuading and influencing people. That's something that you have to do every single day. And so when you can really stand unapologetically in that can have a really powerful effect on your life and the ability to generate the things that you want.
I love that so much. Yes, I just sold my toddler on going to bed for her nap. So I like it. We're just selling all day. So yeah, I love that so much, Natasha. Thank you so much.